So my name is Anaïs Resseguier. I work for Trilateral Research, which is a deputy coordinator of the SIENNA project. I will be presenting to you key findings from the project on AI and robotics. As you will understand, this is quite a challenge because this is a 3.5-year project, and I have 15 minutes to do that. So please we invite you to take a look at our various reports to see more in details what we've done. But I hope that this brief overview will give you some ideas of what we've done. The work conducted by SIENNA on AI robotic has mainly consisted in firstly a series of analyses on AI and robotics, mainly ethical and legal analysis, and then a set of proposals and recommendations based on this analysis. So we did the analysis in the first part of the project, and then the proposal and recommendation in the second part. I will focus this presentation on the analysis and give you an overview of these. And in the rest of the afternoon, we will develop in more details the proposal and recommendations. So this session is mainly, this afternoon session is mainly dedicated to the proposal and the recommendations. So that's why I wanted to focus on the analysis that we did, just to give you an idea. So the analysis that we conducted, there are several of them. Firstly, we conducted a state-of-the-art review of AI and robotics. This entailed looking more closely at the fields of AI and robotics, exploring definitions, subfields, looking at present and future development and challenges of this field. We also explored the wide range of applications of AI and robotics. These include healthcare, security, transportation, and so on and so forth. Fourthly, we conducted socioeconomic and environmental impact assessment of AI and robotics. So we aim to identify these impacts and to assess the intensity of this impact on the society, individuals, and the environment. So that was a first aspect of the work that we did. All this is now in the deliverable 4.1, which is publicly available on Zenodo. Then secondly, we have done a major comparative analysis of the legal, including human rights requirements in and outside Europe. This work consisting in looking at legal developments and approaches to legal issues and human rights challenges related to AI and robotics at different level, including international level, European level, and also at the country level. We analyzed and studied the legal development in 12 countries, including both European and non-European countries. So you can check out the deliverable D4.2, also available publicly on the Zenodo repository. But this is just a mapping of the legal issues that we identified and studied. Legal issues related to AI. These include issues related to a lack of algorithmic transparency, unfairness, bias, discrimination, issue of lack of contestability, intellectual property issue, and so on. And here is a mapping of legal issues related to robotics, such as deception by robots, legal personhood, use of autonomous weapons to kill, harm, or make threats of harm, and so on and so forth. So please do take a look at this report that go into quite details on these issues. Thirdly, we conducted a study to look at current coverage by research ethics committees and in ethical codes of AI and robotics. We looked in particular at existing normative documents coming from different groups such as professional organizations, ethical advisory groups, or research ethics committees. We looked both in Europe and in non-EU countries, and also at the international level. So the results of this survey are in the deliverable 5.3, also available on Zenodo. Then a lot of work has been put into the analysis of current and future ethical issues related to artificial intelligence and robotics. So here we aimed to be as comprehensive as possible to cover and to identify and analyze the wide range of potential ethical issues related to these two technologies. And to do that, we looked at three different levels. The technology level, which is the more general level, looking at aims and like general aims, techniques and approaches, and general implications of these technologies. We also looked at the level of the product, so how a particular product raises specific ethical issues, for instance, autonomous vehicles or intelligent agents, what particular ethical issues do these raise. And the third level that we explored is the level of application, the sector of application. So as you know, these are technology that we can find in many different sectors across the society. And so we looked at ethical issues raised by these technologies in these different sectors, such as healthcare, security, defense, and so on. So that was the approach that aimed to be as comprehensive as possible. And so, for instance, here is the robotics general ethical issues, looking at the aims of robotics, the fundamental techniques and methods, and general implications and risk. So that was one aspect of the analysis. The other one was looking at AI products. So these issues were identified for a number of products, such as intelligent agents, knowledge-based systems, computer visions, and so on. And for this, we identified a number of ethical issues and analyzed these in more details. And the third level, that of sector of applications. Here as well, a number of ethical issues were analyzed. You can see just a snapshot of these. For instance, use of AI in the healthcare sector raises potential ethical issues related to privacy, informed consent, discrimination in health inequality, trust, and so on. So this is the report that in which you can find all this analysis. It's deliverable 4.4, also available on Zenodo. Finally, the last two analyses that were conducted are empirical studies, quantitative and a qualitative study, looking at societal acceptance and awareness of AI and robotics. So these studies were conducted with the help of Counterpublic in 2019. The first one was a survey, so quantitative. 1,000 interviews were conducted in 11 countries, so a total of 11,000 interviews. The interviews were done over the phone. We covered 11 countries, including 7 in Europe and 4 outside of Europe. Then there was a panel of citizens, which basically means that 50 participants were invited to discuss during a 2-hour-long debate their views, their awareness, acceptance of AI and robotics. We did this in 5 EU countries. So these are the studies. I'm not going to go too much detail, but just wanted to point out to you a set of results that we had in relation to perception towards the capacity to have control over one's decisions and actions with the widespread of AI. So the question asked to participants was, it's at the bottom of the table. Now imagine that intelligent machines are used everywhere in your country. For example, the workplace, homes, schools, shops, banks, and restaurants. Do you think people would have more control, the same amount of control, or less control over the decisions and actions? People also had the chance to respond, don't know, or refuse to respond. And here it's quite interesting to see that actually 55% of interviewees felt that they would have that this would give human beings less control over decision and actions. This is the all-country average. The EU country average is more or less the same. 57% felt this way. We can also see some discrepancy between countries, with South Korea and Brazil feeling less concerned that this will lead to less control over the decision and actions, while on the contrary, countries like US, Netherlands, Germany, in these countries, interviewees felt that the spread of AI in the society would lead to, would have as a consequence that human beings would have less control over the decisions and actions. So I think that was quite an interesting result to understand better the public opinions and perception on AI. Sorry. And actually, this perception was also reflected in the citizens panel. For instance, here we have a quote from a participant in Germany who says, "The human being has to have the final say." Another one in France said, "AI is a good thing as long as the machine does not make the final decisions." So that's just a snapshot of some of the results from the study. Please do take a look at them. The reports are related to these studies are D4.5 and D4.6, also publicly available now on Zenodo. That's just so that's all the analysis that we did, and on the basis of this analysis we developed a series of proposals and recommendations, both for the ethics of AI and robotics and the legal aspects. We will discuss them in more detail later this afternoon, so I won't go into details into them, but I just wanted to give you an overview. So these are our proposals for ethical AI and robotics. They are all contained in this multi-stakeholder strategy and practical tools for ethical AI and robotics that we developed. The multi-stakeholder strategy, Philip will present it just after this session. We also have developed a framework for ethics by design and ethics of use for AI and robotics. Brent will present this framework later this afternoon. We also have a proposal for industry education and buy-in for AI ethics. We have research ethics guidelines for AI that Philip will present later today. Also a proposal for AI ethics education, training, and awareness raising. And finally, a proposal for ethics as attention to context that I will present also this afternoon. So this is for the ethical proposals. We also have legal proposals in the shape of recommendations for the enhancement of the existing legal frameworks for AI and robotics. And this will be developed further by my colleague Rowena later this afternoon.